get into what exactly the Supreme Court decided, what the reasoning is, some of the issues involved with Homeland Security reporter at the Washington Examiner, Anna Giaritelli, who joins us now via Skype phone here on Jimmy at the Crossroads. Anna, welcome to the program. It's good to have you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks for coming on. So let's just get right to it. What's this decision? What does it tell us? What did they decide?
Yeah, so in a 5-4 decision, you had Chief Roberts side with the 4 liberal justices on the Supreme Court. And they're saying President Trump wrongly terminated or attempted to terminate DACA, which is a program that was created by President Barack Obama in 2012 after Congress didn't pass comprehensive immigration reform. President Obama took executive action so that children who were brought here before the age of 16, don't have a criminal record, and fit other criteria, could get protection from being deported and could work in the country until a permanent solution was reached. Trump rescinded that in 2017. And what happened today, a number of lawsuits were filed in 2017 and 2018. The Supreme Court said the way you tried to dismantle the program is not right, and so we are not going to let you take it apart. But they did not side on the program in and of itself. So you could see the Trump administration try again in the future. They probably won't have enough time to do so before the election.
So it comes down more to the process and the reasons that were presented for doing this and with the timeline and the way they went about it, and as opposed to the issue of the program itself.
Exactly. Yeah. What they decided was that it was in violation of the Administrative Procedure Act, which is just saying this, there's a certain way you're supposed to do things. Conservatives had argued before this that Obama illegally took this action on his own, saying, I have paper, a pen, and a phone. I'll do it on my own if Congress isn't going to act. And so then by the same standards, Trump took action and said, I'm going to take action on my own and rescind the program, kind of by the same logic. So now what we have is to wait and see. Certainly, immigrant advocates are relieved at this. The program is applicants must renew their status every 2 years. And so what you've seen since 2017 is people falling off, the numbers declining. At one point, you had 800,000 people who had been approved under DACA. So it is a pretty widely felt program. And the implications of if it was allowed to proceed would have been, does Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the ICE agency, do they go after immigrants who were DACA recipients and begin deporting them? This at least gives a pause. And the question really next is, how does the White House respond, and the lawsuits likely to come from any response?
Now, there was a dissent from Justice Thomas, who was joined by Justices Alito and Gorsuch. Kavanaugh did a separate dissent of his own. What was the central premise of the Thomas dissent?
Thomas argued that he really just called it politically controversial, really an effort to avoid a politically controversial move. And then Brett Kavanaugh, who is a Trump appointee himself, filed a separate opinion, and he sided with both the dissent and the majority. So he didn't technically take a side, which was interesting. But certainly the three, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch, another Trump appointee, all said it was incorrect and would, quote, hamstring all future agency attempts to undo actions that exceed statutory authority.
Yeah, it seems like what Thomas was arguing along with Alito and Gorsuch is that this DACA program is unconstitutional or illegal anyway, and so you shouldn't rule to uphold it using any standard. You should dismiss it altogether. Is that right?
That is, yeah. And they're saying that the court basically got scared in light of the court has ruled and has been supportive of some Trump changes to immigration policy. It has been, not supportive of others. And so really, I think it has been supportive to an extent that today's ruling to some is surprising because it did go against the Trump administration. And earlier this week in the LGBTQ decision. So it's definitely pleased both sides of, or I should say in both ways, the Democratic Party, and it puts the Trump administration on an interesting path 5 months out, less than that, from the election. I just reported a Pew Research Center poll this morning saying that 54% of Republicans support giving a path to legal status to children in this category, immigrant children who were brought here illegally. And so Trump's base is very divided on this, but his tone in the 2016 election and throughout his presidency has been very opposed to DACA and anyone who comes into the country illegally. So
sure.
He's at an interesting place forward.
Just a few minutes left with our guest, Anna Giaritelli, Homeland Security reporter at The Washington Examiner, our partners here on Jimmy at the Crossroads. So what are the practical implications for what many call the dreamers who are party to the DACA program of this, and what does it set up for Congress to do? I know I've seen a number of members of Congress in the United States Senate and House who have said this means that Congress needs to take up further action.
Yeah, I mean, really, so this program, because it's an executive action, it's not a law. It's president took action. And the idea of America is you have three branches that balance out each other. And when Congress doesn't take action and the president does something, the Supreme Court is then kind of the deciding factor between the two. And so what lawmakers are calling for, including you have Senator Sass and Senator McSally, both Republicans today, they're saying Congress needs to act and legalize or legislate this program, codify it so that it is actual law. And we come up with a plan what to do for people who are in the country without documentation or arrived illegally and all such, including people who have crossed the southern border with families during the big crisis last year and were not removed. They were released into the country waiting for asylum court dates years down the road for folks like that. So going forward, Congress has a real chance to move on this. But again, like you see, even with, different bills being proposed right now on police reforms and the justice system changes to it, it's completely split down party lines. And even with a need now to move on police reforms, there's nothing urgently coming down the line from Congress. There's debates, there's bills, but there haven't been votes yet.
Yeah, this is certainly fascinating from a political standpoint in terms of the dividing lines. And also, I think it can be difficult for those conservatives who may be favorable to a sort of DREAM Act by law, yet oppose the DACA decision or DACA program because it is executive action. It's difficult in some of these divisive times and divisive topics to get a little bit more nuanced like that, I would think. But Anna Giaritelli, again, reporter at The Washington Examiner. So great to have you on to break this down. Thanks for joining us on Jimmy at the Crossroads today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Once again, Anna Giaritelli breaking things down for this decision that just came down from the United States Supreme Court. Thanks for watching this clip of Jimmy at the Crossroads. Don't miss more engaging, intelligent talk. Subscribe today to the Jimmy at the Crossroads YouTube channel. You do not want to miss our live show. Thanks for your support.
I got Jimmy at the Crossroads, making sense out of no sense. Yeah.